My name is Sandra O'Neill. Welcome to Friends and Neighbors. I am your host today, and I am joined here by wonderful Jocasta Odom.
Yes, hello.
You are going to be with us all day as our guest co-host. Thank you for being with us.
You're welcome.
And you are going to be blessed by the guests that we have here today. You know, I love how God works in the lives of the young, I can say young folk because I feel quite seasoned.
Wait, no, you're not.
Young folk
She's
in our
not.
lives, but we have an awesome sister group that's going to be joining us. They've been singing since they were young. We are going to be going to the music set with them because they're going to share their songs, and then later we're going to talk to them a little bit more. They are Alicia and Whitney, and they're going to be singing
New Thing. I'm so glad for such a time as this that he's doing a new thing. New heights, new depths, new dimensions we haven't reached yet. Blazing trails with guided steps, like pioneers in a land uncharted. It's springing up from the ground in the wilderness. I hear him whisper to me, you ain't seen nothing yet. Behold, perceive it. He's doing a new thing. He's doing it. Take hold, receive it. He's doing a new thing. He's doing it. Behold, receive it. He's doing a new thing. He's doing it. Take hold, receive it. He's doing a new thing. He's doing it. He's doing a new thing. He's doing it. New songs, new keys, bringing heaven's melodies, and fresh thoughts, crazy dreams, propelling us into our destiny. It's springing up from the ground in the wilderness. I hear him whisper to me, you ain't seen nothing yet. Behold, perceive it. He's doing a new thing. He's doing it. Take hold, receive it. He's doing a new thing. He's doing it. Behold, perceive it. He's doing a new thing. He's doing it. Take hold, receive it. He's doing a new thing. He's doing it. He's doing a new thing. He's doing it. And I must perceive to believe, perceive to believe, believe to receive everything that he has for me. I must perceive to believe, perceive to believe, believe to receive everything that you have for me. Oh, can you receive it? Ooh, I believe it. Behold, perceive it. Oh, perceive it. He's doing it. Receive, yes, I believe it. He's doing a new thing. He's doing it. the storm that I'm facing and steady my heart that's been racing. 'Cause in one moment my whole life has changed, and nothing will ever be the same. I'm searching for answers I may never find this side, and nothing makes sense as the memories replay in my mind. And so I'm coming to you to do what only you can do. Bring peace inside as I give you all the pieces of what's left in my life. Can you calm the storm that I'm facing and steady my heart that's been racing? 'Cause in one moment my whole life has changed, and nothing will ever be the same. Can you dry these tears that I'm crying and bind up what's been broken inside me? 'Cause in one moment my whole life has changed, and I know I'll never be the same. Oh Jesus, only you can make me whole again. 'Cause you are ever near to my broken heart. You are my light in the deepest darkness. When I have nothing, you're still my portion. You are my hiding place, my refuge and my fortress. You are ever near to my broken heart, and you are my light in the deepest darkness. When I have nothing, you're still my portion. You are my hiding place, my refuge and my fortress. And you calm the storm that I'm facing and steady my heart that's been racing. 'Cause in your presence my whole life has changed, and nothing will ever be the same. Oh, 'cause you dry these tears that I'm crying. Oh, yes, you do. And bind up what's been broken inside me. 'Cause in your presence my whole life has changed, and I know I'll never be the same. 'Cause you are ever near to my broken heart. You are my light in the deepest darkness. When I have none, you're still my portion. You are my hiding place, my refuge and my fortress.
there is nothing like family harmony. Sister group, Alicia and Whitney, we will be back to talk to them some more, get to know them now that you've heard their lovely music. They're going to come back, sit with us, and share about their life stories.
I'm excited.
It's going to be great. I know, wasn't that wonderful?
Yes,
I feel like
yes.
we were just taken to the throne of God just through their heart of praise and worship. Come back. You're going to want to meet Alicia and Whitney. We'll see you in a few.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Friends and Neighbors. I am sitting here in awe from the music.
Yes.
I forgot that, Jacosta, you're not at church.
Well, we took a moment. I felt
Yes.
like we needed that moment right after they
It was
sang. It was
serious.
beautiful. And
God
I'm so
is all over
excited to
them.
have you guys here with us.
Ladies, Alicia and Whitney, God has really rained down on you, poured so many blessings to your vocal cords and to that microphone.
Thank you.
I'm constantly telling people that you can have a microphone all day long, but it matters. What matters is how you use it.
Amen.
What you
Yeah.
do with it, the words you put through
That's
it.
right.
And you are putting these heavenly words, and the anointing is serious.
Thank you.
You know?
Yeah, that's our goal as being worship leaders and singers and songwriters, is not to entertain, but to create an atmosphere where people can enter in.
Yes.
And so that's just been our heart cry from the start. And so that's such an honor for you to say that.
I mean, I'm honored to sit here. I am so serious. Now, I know that you all wrote the songs, but I'm sitting here going, okay, there was a reason to start writing and writing heavily. Tell us about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all really began. We've always been singers. We grew up in a very musical family. And so we just loved singing growing up. That's what we did. And our mom taught us harmonies and our dad taught us rhythm and all that good stuff. But really when it came the most heavily on us was in 2013 when we lost our father to cancer. And it was just a really devastating time, obviously, losing a parent, but our dad was also like our pastor, and he was, a spiritual mentor to us. He's our best friend. Like he, made us laugh uncontrollably. I mean, he was just so many parts to our life. And so when, he went to heaven, we were just kind of left with, okay, God, like what do we do now? What does this look like for us? And so through that process is when we really began to do our own songwriting, and just really a lot of our lyrics are just our heart's cry, especially on our first album. They're just our heart's cry to, God about how we're feeling and what we're going through, but yet how we know He's faithful and He's going to bring us through this.
And this is your debut, right? Is that
Yes,
right?
Core,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness, Core.
And I like it because core, meaning you have to get to the core of things.
Exactly.
And
That's
I've been talking about roots and cores, and I'm like, if you cut something off and you don't take it from the root, meaning the core of it,
Right.
then there's no healing that can take place.
Right.
This is your coping mechanism.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Who sat down to write first? Because, was it like at the same time this aha moment, like God spoke to you all and you called her up, or what happened, Alicia?
Well, it was actually, we were living together at the time. We had moved in with our grandmother, who was our father's mother. So we all were just kind of moved in together and just were getting through it before I was getting married. And I don't know, I think separately it started in our devotion time and just it was late night hours, and we would just start writing. The Lord would pop out a verse at us, like beauty for my ashes, joy for mourning, and different things. And then Whitney picked up the guitar and started learning the guitar, and
Wait. So before Whitney, you weren't playing the guitar, you just picked it up and just...
Well, yeah, it was just like around that time, God really put on my heart just to, learn the acoustic guitar. And, because like I said, we've always sang. And so I was like, oh, that'd be good. And actually, what's neat about that time period was that I'd probably say she started writing lyrics first, but then I'd be in my room playing the guitar and coming up with like melodies. And so it'd be like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'd run to her room and Alicia, and I remember one night she was like already asleep, and I'm like, Alicia, there's something to this melody, like we have to write a song to it. And she's like, Whitney, I'm asleep, like go back to your room. And I'm like, no.
I bet
wasn't
she
being really
got up.
spiritual at 2 in the morning.
So let me ask you this, though, with your passing of your dad. So this was happening after he passed away, and you picked up the guitar. Now you had mentioned to me that he was a musician and he played the bass.
Yep.
And he, so is that something that was just a desire that God placed in your heart as a way to honor him?
Yeah, I think so. What's really neat is, I've realized as our dad's passed that he really had like an apostolic gifting in nature, where he like set out a lot of things that actually we were made to accomplish. And so whether it was his, playing instruments, or whether it was his, he's recorded a couple instrumental CDs, or he wrote a couple books, and so things like that he started, but the way God is, he's a generational God.
Yes, he is.
So what started in our father was meant to be carried through to the generations.
Yes.
Yeah.
And something we're going to pass down to our kids, and hopefully their kids, and so on and so forth.
And there was something that just was ignited in us, and Paul talks about run the race with endurance that's set before you, and that we have a cloud of witnesses that are cheering us on, those that have gone before us. And there was something just ignited in us both when, and even our older brother, when our father passed, was, okay, how can we get this baton and run further than our father was able to in his 52 short years? And that's kind of, it is true. It ignited something in us to carry on what he started, and also to make our mother proud as well. So, yeah.
Man, and make the mom proud. I love that part. Now, this book, Beauty for My Ashes, Whitney, because here's the thing, when you think of ashes, people get sad, like, oh no, that's the urn there, oh no, my dad, he passed. But you said beauty for my ashes. Right. You've brought light to it. You are telling people here, you have much for which to grieve, but you still have much for which to celebrate. Yeah. And I like it because the title itself is the celebration. Yeah. The beauty in the ashes is the celebration. Tell us about this book, Whitney.
Yeah, it's something that was really birthed even before the passing of our father, because a pastor had prayed over me years ago. I was probably 16 at the time, and he just said, God's saying that he wants to give you beauty for your ashes so that you can in turn help give beauty for others' ashes. And at that time you're 16 and you're like, okay, that's cool, but what does that mean, And so as I got older, and our father passed away when I was 20, and I was just going through some old notes and stuff that I had, and I found that prayer, and I had this desire for this, to write this book, because when our father passed away, we were in the hospital, and I just remember sitting there thinking, so what does life look like now, and what happens from here? We had lost loved ones in our lives before, but never one that like hit that close, to us, and so it was just like, where do we go from here? And I wanted to write a book for people who have been in that situation, and just to let them know, that you're not alone, and that it's not always going to feel as horrible as it does in your worst moment, and actually what you see as ugly and as horrible and as tragic and maybe something you never wanted to happen, God can turn that around and use it not only for your benefit, but for the benefit of those around you. And that's what I love with like our music and our books and everything, that we're not only just saying, our dad passed away, or oh, this happened or that happened, but we're saying, no, we were in that situation, but God, filled us, and he made us whole again, and we're running in our purpose and calling, and you can too.
I love it. You said, and you can too. Yes. Because the one thing that we get away from because of the hustle and bustle of the world is us serving others, right, and us pouring into others. Here it is, you ladies are pouring in with song, because Dad was that musician, and Dad has carried it on. Then, not only that, you said, oh, no, singing is not enough. Dad poured into me that ability to write and to save somebody else who thinks they're alone. Because being alone is the worst feeling, and it is what brings on fear.
Right.
So tell us, like, even though these two things are your coping mechanisms, the sisterly bond,
Yeah.
how has that been during this time?
It's honestly, I thank God. You know, she just had a birthday recently, and I was like, thank
happy
God
birthday.
My sister was born, because all that we've walked through in our lives, and even before, you know, our father passing away, we're 22 months apart, and so we were just a grade apart in school, so we were always pretty close in age.
My boys are 22 months apart. Well, I am. When was your birthday?
July 31st.
Okay, if you would have said a specific, I would have been like, Lord.
Yeah, and so it's been nice to have a best friend and a family member to walk through these things together with, and you know, serving together even beyond this capacity. We've gotten to go to work in an orphanage in Honduras 4 times. We've been to Tanzania, Africa, and doing missions work.
Together.
Yeah, together. And we also took a pilgrimage to Israel. And this is stuff that the Lord has just, you know, just brought to our hearts and our attention, and then opened the door. Because when He calls you to something, He prepares the path ahead of you for it.
Yes, and I was going to ask you, you know, this book specifically asks a lot of questions, such as where do you go from here? How do I handle this grief? How would you encourage someone that's walking in it right now, that has lost their loved ones? Tragedy has just hit them. What would be the one thing that you would say to someone?
My number one answer would just be spend as much time with God as possible, and just close your door, get in your room, you know, even if it means getting away from some of the other mourners and the people that are trying to fill up time and space, and meaning well, you know, but just get alone with God, because He's the only one that can bring that healing, and He's the only one that can just kind of help you move forward, because it is a devastation, it is a tragedy, but there is life after a death.
And how has this encouraged you to empathize with others that are going through grief?
Majorly. I think now when we see someone going through an issue, I remember who was there for me during those times, and sadly, who wasn't. And so I want to be the person that is there for someone else when they're going through that. And the blessing about the giftings God gave us, when we use the giftings that we already have in our hands and that He's cultivated throughout our life, you can make something beautiful into it, to in turn say, Lord, the Lord brought me through it, and He can do that for you as well. And so I would encourage people, what has He given you? What is in your hands right now? I know life seems broken, and I know it seems like everything's shattered around you, but we all have something. And whether it's going and loving on some babies at your church nursery, whether it's going to a neighbor's house and mowing their lawn or baking cookies, I believe that a major part of healing is in servitude to others.
That's true.
And so, you know, working at the orphanage when we went on our trips was so healing, because as we were holding broken children, it was healing the broken child in us.
Oh, wow.
And so that's one piece of advice, along with just seeking His face, is to be a servant and use what He's given you today in your hands, and step by step and day by day, you get a little further along. So.
Well, thank you so much, Alicia. Thank you, Whitney, so much. We'll be right back.
Thank you for joining us. Oh my God. Welcome back to Friends and Neighbors. And I don't know about you, Jocasta, but I have been so encouraged by this beautiful sister duo, Alicia and Whitney. You guys have to look them up. Their hearts radiate the glory of God. You know, when you meet someone and you just feel the presence of the Lord.
That's what it was like.
That's what it was. And servitude. You know, Jesus calls us to wash each other's feet.
Yes.
And I felt that when they were talking about the orphanage and talking about how they are coping, not only with their music and their writing, but they're coping by serving.
Going out on the battlefield.
Exactly. I hope you have been as encouraged as we have been talking to Whitney and Alicia. And thank you for joining us.
You know, it's
Thanks
been a
for being
pleasure.
here.
I don't want to go anywhere. I want to be here forever.
Friends and neighbors, come back next time. But right now, we hope you have a wonderful rest of the day and join us on the next episode of Friends and Neighbors.
See you next time.
Ciao.